Hey everyone, welcome to the Leadership Locker. My name is Rich Cardona, and on this podcast, we dig through the lessons of today's most exceptional leaders to help you break through your barriers. If you're trying to progress your career, if you are trying to accelerate your entrepreneurial journey, which I know you all are, if you're looking to have a smoother transition out of the military because it is incredibly difficult, then you're in the right place. My guests and I are going to give you the tools and the resources to accelerate your curve, help you surge, and just crush it. So here we go. David Brier is kind of a ridiculous human being, and you're going to see by how he opens up the podcast. He is a branding expert with an amazing book endorsed by Damon John. He's revolutionized the way we brand and how to do it in a good, authentic, real way without any of the bullshit. I asked him to come on because I knew he wouldn't hold back, and he didn't. So this is a little bit longer than usual for some of the podcasts, but the information is far, far too valuable. So listen to what he's got to say. Enjoy the episode. Like it, share it, subscribe it. Thank you.
So I am David Brier. I am a native New Yorker who now lives and works in the Midwest, and I love blowtorching the shit out of mediocrity and wiping out just bullshit, little sort of namby-pamby incremental sort of increments of this and that, the other. It's like, look, if you're going to go in, go all in.
Yeah.
And I love working with my clients to help them just go freaking all in and be the explosive revolution they were destined to be. Other than that, I just freaking breathe air and drink.
That is the best introduction. And I actually wrote it for everyone who doesn't know. So I was looking forward to this, and I wrote him yesterday on LinkedIn. I was like, I feel like I'm going to need to wear like a flame retardant suit because of the fire he spits. And yeah, you just had it right there. So no one has come out like that. So we're already ahead of the game. But you were about to show me some art before we get into all the great things you do. You're about to show me some art. And actually it resulted from you and I discussing a question that you answered about, how you became an expert. And a lot of it is actually, I'll let you take it. So how do you become an expert in something?
All right. Well, for me, I'll say for me, it's others may have another path, another way that they get there. But for me, my whole life, I was always fascinated with what things made a difference, what things made an impact. Growing up in New York, we would go to Greenwich Village. We'd go to the art show around Greenwich, around Washington Square Park, right? And I'd look at the art and I'd be like entranced with like the stuff that was like, certain things would stop me in my tracks. Why that stuff and not the other stuff? As I grew up, same thing with music. It's like, why is it? Some music just completely just goes, boom.
Yes.
Why that? And the other shit is just like Barry Manilow. Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
Sorry, Barry, if you're listening, tough shit. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. Anyway, so
he's definitely listening.
He's definitely listening. And so, and just with anything, Martin Luther King. I mean, my God, JFK, some of his. So it didn't matter what area of life, whether it was the spoken word, whether it was a piece of art, a piece of communication, but the common thread was there was a communication, something that started from point A and went across out into the world. And the ones that went out into the world and that changed a path, that left in their wake, it was like things were no longer the same.
Yep.
For those that experienced it, that was the stuff that always attracted me. And that's why, because I've been an artist my whole life. And so initially it was just with visual, but then it was also that started to really embrace what are the stories that I can tell with words as well to complement. So it's appreciating all of the nuances and all of the tools. They're all tools to me.
Yeah.
But the thing I was going to tell you, so 2 weeks ago, I'm in New York City. And that's the week, that's when Claude and we got a chance to hang out. And that was a blast.
And yes, hold on. I need to say this to the people listening. So I've been to Claude's office many, many times, and there's a lot of shit that people send her. And there's just this one box that stands out like ridiculous. I'm like, who took time to do that? And the funny thing is, it's a box, right? Like a normal box you're tossing. Like there's no room in this office for a box, but because of the art that you drew on it, it just sits there, and it's just like a big, it's like a piece of the office. It's amazing. And I was like, who is this guy? Now, then after I knew you, the second time I saw it, I was like, this is awesome. Of course it's him.
Oh yeah, I mean the fact that I mean she will never throw it away. I mean she's told me I'm never throwing this away. I mean and so, but that's the thing. It's like, why, my thing is why, if something can be done ordinary, why shouldn't it be elevated to extraordinary? Period. Why not? Why not? Are we that lazy? Are we that? Either it's either to me it's either laziness or it's just a matter of lacking the mental bandwidth to have the imagination to go, what is possible?
Yeah, that's very possible, right? I mean, like we're all creative, but we're all not. It's just, it takes different forms, right? Like, I mean, I can't do not open up engine, the hood to a car. Like, forget it. Like, I'm lost already, right? But
Yep.
but yeah, when it comes to storytelling, and I'm not a storyteller like you, but I aspire to be at a certain level. So I think it's a matter of, I do believe everything that you're saying. You just need to know where it makes sense to be creative. What was it about you that noticed back then that there's more to it than just what is being said and the delivery and the person and all the different little facets that make up a human being and their brand?
It was that it went beyond an individual. It went beyond the single individual putting a pitch for themselves. Like, for example, today, occasionally I might catch a little interview with, some celebrity, some Hollywood actor or something like that. 98% of them it's shallow, meaningless dribble. It's like, what the hell? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I mean, the trivial emptiness and the shallowness. And I guess that was the thing. I don't appreciate shallow. I appreciate depth. I appreciate integrity. I appreciate a genuine realness. These weren't being spoken to pitch. I mean, in my opinion, I didn't consider Martin Luther King pitching, like black people need to be created special, or that Black Lives Matter, or this. He didn't go that's a totally different thing. He was like, no, each of us is valuable not to be judged on the color of our skin. He basically said, if your integrity is there as a person, then you matter.
Yep.
Independent of where you came from, the color of your skin, your background, you this, that, the other, that you matter. And under the heavens, we are all equal on that ground, not judged by some arbitrary thing.
Yes.
And so to me, that was valuable. And when JFK said, it's not, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country, it flipped the cards. And I love that because it made you and me go, whoa,
yeah,
I have a part in this game.
Yes.
Right. And that was the thing. It was like, I've gotten to a point in my life, and I didn't have this probably until like the last couple of years, where, people might go, oh, hoo, boo-hoo me. I'm like, look, right now, the only person buying your boo-hoo starts with you.
Oh yeah.
You're opening that door, and you're keeping it open, and you're the one who's going to close it or not. It's not because I'm unsympathetic, and it's not because I lack empathy. It's actually because I actually have empathy, and I'm not going to let you get away with that bullshit and actually put a smoke screen in front of your eyes and in front of the eyes of people around you. That's bullshit. You aren't a victim. You aren't incapable, and don't give me that shit that you are.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm nodding in agreement all the way. And I admit, for me, it certainly was shallow for a long time until I just kind of realized, if you're unapologetically and unflinchingly just who the hell you are, it's just different. Like, I was literally just on a call an hour ago with this big trucking company that was looking into our services, and they're trying to position themselves. I'm like, why don't you guys just talk to the people who are immersed in the industry, and we use that. Like, you're using executives right now who have never driven a truck, who don't know what it's like to pull over and go get another big gulp and try to make it across the country in 2 days, and all this other stuff. But I'm just going to say what I have to say. I say, this is what I think the video could do for you. This is where I think you're missing. They loved it. And I'm just like, okay, so it took a while, but I understand. If I'm an entrepreneur, how then do I avoid falling into the pitfall of being shallow and at the same time highlighting what I have to offer, who I am, what my story is, without, this is a twist, without just completely leaning on my veteran status, which means nothing to a lot of people.
Simple. Stop talking about you. Start talking more about them.
All right. Thanks, everybody. That was great. How do you do that? Like, tell me how you focus your mind into a mentality that is more of service. And look, like, we understand how to serve, right? But like, I'm like, I need to make it. Like, there's desperation there. There's a struggle. I need money.
I understand. No, I understand. But you're dealing with two worlds. One is you're dealing with the internal world of survival, and then you're dealing with the external world of, okay, there's someone here that needs to be helped.
Yeah.
You cannot lose sight of you can't allow those two worlds to collapse. You allow those two worlds to collapse, you're going to go insane. Probably for the first 8 or 9 years of my career, I need to reach out to people, and I need to meet with people, and I bring my portfolio and show examples of work that I've done, or prototypes of works that examples of what kind of work I can do, etc. And probably after the first 8 years or so, I started to notice, I started to ask more questions and show less. It was just sort of organic. Wasn't by design. It was sort of like I just started noticing they would say something. I'd say, well, can you elaborate on that? Well, what problem does that present to you? Well, what would happen if that problem was solved? I stopped bringing my portfolio. So the thing is like I would say, that's my parallel here is walking in with the intent of talking about you is useless. Walking in with the intent of talking about them and finding out the only reason their door opened is because they have a problem, and somehow you triggered that sort of, ooh, God, that's uncomfortable, right? Nobody that you and I deal with would have a problem if it wasn't founded upon an aspiration. You see, that's the thing. It's like, how can somebody have a problem unless there's something they want and something standing in the way of the thing that they want?
That is damn. Okay, let me ask this. If I am in that conversation and I'm trying to solve your problem, which you don't have any video or editing problems, but let's just assume you did.
Okay.
And here we are, and I'm able to solve your problem. My services, or our services, Rich Cardona Media, can help. How do I then not blur the boundaries, or how do I converge the brand and my brand so I know that you want to work with me?
Do people have misconceptions about what you do in the world, what your role is in the world, what your relevance is in the world? Do people have an idea that you do X, which might represent only 20% of what you offer to the world, and 80% they really don't get it?
I think you're right about that, and that a lot of people go after the opportunity which presents them the most recognition, and then it's just like, cool, now you're a little bit pigeonholed unless you are very explicitly making sure you are being seen in all these different realms, so to speak. If I need brand intervention, so to speak, and it's just collapsing, or really I'm getting no bites, and let's just take all the nonsense out of it. It's not my ads, it's not the video quality, it's not the audio quality of this podcast or anything like that. What are the normal indications that I'm just out to lunch, lost?
Two columns, okay, piece of paper, 2 columns, divided in half vertically, and you go on one side and say, what are all the reasons that people should be doing business with us? Now you pull off your rose-colored glasses and you say, good. How many of these are also being communicated to by our competition? What happens is, I've been doing this long enough, I'll make a fairly accurate prediction. 95 to 98% of what you just wrote in that column will be also said by your competition. So why the hell is anybody going to freaking choose you? Because you're charismatic, because maybe you can sell better, Maybe you can offer them a sweeter deal, but you haven't differentiated yourself. One, you haven't, and if you have not differentiated yourself, you also haven't provided value. Those two things are synonymous. They go together. You can't
Really?
differentiate yourself. Absolutely. So here's the, we got a seesaw here, right? A seesaw. If you're in a sales activity and people are focusing on, oh, price, it's too expensive, or, oh, I don't know, blah, 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 blah. You know what the problem is? Your value and differentiation are weak. You start raising the value and differentiation up here, price becomes secondary. Now what you do is now you have to basically say, so why? You have to ask yourself this question for the blank column. So what are we able to actually offer and provide that is different, that is unlike anyone else? What are we able to provide in terms of either delivery, ease, convenience? What about companies that actually, they refuse to have automated machines, but instead they actually have people who answer the phones? What about people who say, what about places like Nordstrom, which have exemplary customer service? What are they doing differently than everyone else?
I have to interrupt you really quick. USAA is my bank. And it's like them and Navy Fed and whoever. USAA has the most unbelievable customer service on earth. Like, it is off the charts. They always say, Captain Cardona, how's your wife? How's your dog? I'm like, what? Like, you care about Allie? And there's never been a time when I'm on the phone where they haven't just fallen all over themselves to make sure I was unbelievably happy. And that's why I will never change banks.
Yeah, because, and the thing is that's the difference. A great brand is built on future. Crappy, dismissible brands, easily replaceable brands are built on the past, meaning, oh, we've concluded the transaction, great, bye, game over. No. It's like the great brands build the future. Everything they do is future oriented. It is proactive. It's looking for what comes next. And to the extent that a brand embodies that and is looking out for what's next for themselves, looking out what's next for their clients, looking out what's next happening on the horizon, next, that gives you that degree of future orientation, gives you a present, and as in present time, that is amazing. And if you're just building it on the past, that's why, who gives a shit about looking at a resume? Who gives a shit about looking at your past work? It's like, because the questions you're asking, when you're asking, going back to our earlier point, when you're asking questions of a person you're meeting with, yeah, you're asking about the things that have stopped them, but stop them from what? Stop them from achieving things when? In the future.
Yes. What is the thing that everyone gets wrong that just drives you absolutely bananas? What is the single most thing, if you have one, that comes to mind that you're like, this is what no one will do, which is literally like the Easter egg?
I would say it's not about you. It's about them. That's the thing. It's not, it's like, granted, I mean, some of us can be charismatic and some of us can be cool and some of us can be like, real best buddies, and some of us can be like really savvy and witty and insightful and this, that, the other, and da-da-da-da. And that to me, that's kind of like, that's the seasoning on good ingredients. The good ingredient, though, is, remember, it's not about you, but it's about them. And to the extent, if you were to just do 90% them as far as your focus, 10% you'll be fine.
You and I both know, well, maybe you don't after some of the stories you told me, but like the pressure of, tell me, I hate the question, tell me what you do.
No problem exists without an aspiration. They're talking to you because they have a problem. What does that also mean? They're talking to you because they have an aspiration, but the aspiration is out of sight.
Where can we find you? And thank you, number one, but where can we find you and look up all your good stuff? I know where, but for the audience, where can they find you?
Totally appreciate it. So one is, first of all, of course, there's the website, which is risingabovethenoise.com. There's like, you can go there. There's a free ebook, the lucky brand. And as you basically just said, that there is a shitload of content. It might possibly be the most extensive site online as far as branding and rebranding. Definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel, right? Where they, do that and click on the bell so you get the notifications, because there's the 1 Minute Wednesdays and other random drops that happen. So there's at least, 4, on an average, about 4 to 5 videos that happen, 4 to 6 videos that actually happen per month. And it's all great stuff. And it's to the point, it's succinct. It's good stuff.
Then
lastly, I would just tell, if any of your listeners at this point, if they have not purchased Brand Intervention, Damon John from Shark Tank wrote the forward to it. The book is smoking hot.
Well, thank you very much, man. I had such a good time, and obviously I have no doubt in my mind that people got value. And if they didn't, then they could,
they should check for their pulse. Check for their pulse right now.
All right. Thanks, man.
Absolutely, dude.
Thank you for listening to The Leadership Locker. For more about us, how we can serve you, and for other episodes, please visit richcardonamedia.com/podcast. If you liked this episode a lot or little, please don't forget to subscribe so that way my guests and I can continue to deliver some heat and get you the knowledge that you want. Don't miss an episode. And please join our Facebook group so you get much more exclusive content. Take care.